Welcome, everybody, to the Out of Home Insider Show, a podcast like no other, hosted by the one and only Tim Rowe. Get ready to have some knowledge dropped on you and to be entertained, because nothing's more valuable than food for your brain. So sit back, relax, we're about to dive in as the best industry podcast is about to begin.
We were just talking in the lead up, the importance of names. Jonathan Frohlinger, Gabby Stoller, Big Happy. We're going to talk about creative today, which you've got to put on your thinking hat a little bit. If you're hearing this, if this is getting piped through to your ears, then we're going to ask you to use your imagination maybe a little bit along the way. We're going to talk about what Big Happy is doing, how they are approaching the digital out-of-home space, how they're thinking about creating unmissable moments in a world full of noise. Jonathan, Gabby, welcome.
Thanks for having us, Tim.
It'll be fun. Jonathan, welcome back from Cannes. Maybe can you give us Cannes in a can for anyone that hasn't been there? What's what was the big takeaway from Cannes this year?
Excitement, I would say. Lots of walking. So, as you're walking through, I think this year it was a little more tangible of how many folks there were there. It wasn't just dominated by a specific set of people. It felt like innovation is at an inflection point. The talk of AI is obviously persistent, but the thing that I took away the most from Cannes this year from a brand and marketer's perspective was I think people are actually excited about this world of AI and all the things they're seeing so much, because I think it might help them get a little bit of a better grapple on the branding and creative that they're showing there. And some of these tools are starting to help brands lean into that a little bit more. And I think creative is always the hardest piece of a marketer's puzzle to solve, and we're really focused on helping them find that piece and adding it to their overall marketing mix. But a lot of excitement, a lot of really smart thinking, and how can people continue to add value in a world where there is a lot of noise. And I think that's ultimately what we're always focused on, is driving that incremental value, being really, really helpful to brands in reaching their outcomes. So it was really exciting. It was great. But happy to be back and rocking and rolling over here.
And that is, I feel like the buried lead on the importance of creative is the incremental value that it can add to a media plan. Because at the end of the day, the targeting measurement really don't matter if the creative stinks. So it's an important part to get right. Gabby, you're new to the team. Welcome aboard. I think, is there officially a month under your belt now?
30 days under my belt. I just hit my 5th week. So yes,
congrats.
31 days in counting.
Massive. What's it been like? Why did you join? What was the opportunity that you saw here at Big Happy?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't turn down the opportunity. What's been really great is that I'm reunited with a lot of former coworkers of mine. So there's about 7 folks over here that we used to all be a family at Verve. And John was over there with us as well. And I told him one day when I was leaving Verve to go into my next ad tech adventure that I'd be working for him one day. And here we are that many years later. So I couldn't not follow him into this brilliant company. But I would say for me, what gravitated me towards Big Happy was the culture. I had been watching them from the sidelines for a very long time, hearing from many in the industry just how well they're doing and also how much they're thought leaders in the creative space. And then as they were expanding into new divisions and exploring what that could look like, once I heard it was digital out of home, it presented itself such an opportunity. It's a medium that continues to only advance, and there's still so much opportunity. But the truth is, creative is still an afterthought. And so we're excited to bring creative more to the forefront and to be able to do things that are really immersive, stop in your tracks, and run it on screens that are such a large canvas. So I'm really excited about the potential opportunity here.
Massive. And in a world full of screens, it really takes someone that knows the industry to help navigate and really understand the inventory, especially when we're talking about doing brilliant creative things. It's important that we can be able to actually execute those things. Jonathan, maybe can you give us a little bit of the origin story, the backstory on Big Happy? What was the maybe original thesis? How has that evolved over the years? And why are we talking about digital out of home today?
Yeah, so I'll try and give you the 60, 90-second spiel, but really
All right,
just
if
a
it
little
takes
bit.
5,
All right, beautiful. Really over the past 15 years in this incredible world, we get to work with such smart people, come up with such unique ideas, connect with consumers, figure out the ways that brands get to integrate into people's lives and drive real value for them in connecting with people, doing things. I started out a long time ago on the agency side of things where I really got my kind of chops in how to creative and media work together. And a lot of the media that media agencies are buying are really just black boxes and inventory. And so the creative is really what fuels that black box and makes it into that incredible moment where you can tell people about your brand, show them the exciting new flavors, tell them that how you can fly them to places that they can't get otherwise, and experience things that they can never experience. But really kind of from the agency world, seeing how connected but also disconnected the media and creative piece is, right? And I think we all wanted to really be closer. Um, since that kind of past of leaving the agency and moving into the ad tech world, starting to understand all the complications of ad tech, seeing how fragmented the market is and how much of it is led by technology, I really started to think in late 2019, 2020, how do we make this easier for folks? How do we leverage creative technologies and creative excellence that helps not only brands do it, but also their partners at the agencies move? Because everybody wants to do incredible things, but if you can't understand how it moves your business and how it drives value, it's hard to go into your boss and tell them, this is what we did and it had this effect. And so that's what Big Happy really set out to do, is become the most advanced kind of creative media platform out there. And what we really lean in on in this world is the graphical component of our ads and the message that the consumer sees. If you think about the world of TV, it's an incredible platform. But in the last 20 years, really what shifted from getting Matthew McConaughey in a beautiful Lincoln and a nice buffet and creating these 50 and 30-second spots is solely that some poor intern doesn't have to run down Madison Ave with a VHS in July heat to get that over to CBS. It can now be a WeTransfer. The audio channel is very similar. It's an incredible platform to lean into, but really the distribution's the only thing that has changed in the last 10 to 20 years. The actual content that's being created is still quite similar. In the digital space, mobile, digital out of home, you name it, those things all really got flipped on its head because the content creation actually totally changed. And so you started to get into this world of graphics and animation and storytelling, and how do you do those things with the most advanced technology? And so you really had to create that technology, and that's what Big Happy set out to do on our way to being this really incredible platform. We built our own creative ad tech stack. We are laser focused all day, every day on creating the most incredible graphics using computer generated imagery, engineering that into experiences that are not achievable in the real world. For example, driving a beautiful car across a user's mobile screen, turning Lunchables, ham and cheeses into Transformers, being able to capture consumers' attention with graphics and storytelling. We really like to say that we're kind of the Pixar of advertising, because when you can do these things in graphics and animation and storytelling, it unlocks different parts of the user's brain that gets them to feel something. Think about why we all love Toy Story and Up so much. There's a different level of emotion that we can unlock through these sorts of ad experiences, and we can measure them and prove them. So when we go to brands and say, we can do these incredible things for you, and we can also set you up for success with the KPIs that you need to hit, whether that's driving people into your fast food restaurant, whether it's driving conversions for internet providers, or whether that's ultimately driving massive branding and recognition of product information, we're able to do all of those things because it's creative led, and that's really what the user sees and feels. And we've really been able to prove that out over the last few years, is that when you lean into the creative and you lean into that storytelling platform, the outcomes are going to come. And not only from a campaign by campaign experience, but also for the companies that lead into this year over year and don't just do it in these one-off type of environments, they're able to see their business really grow and get better. And as we really deepen our relationships and our partnerships with brands, all we want to do is drive insane value. And that's why it's so exciting to be able to launch our digital out-of-home platform with Gabby, because that's what we're going to be able to continually do, is drive that incremental value, but be a real partner that they can lean on. And there's no one better in that world than Gabby to really bring in and help us elevate not only our partners' brands, but in that same way, our own brand itself.
Beautifully said. We're going to tag Gabby in a minute, but first I got a hard question for Jonathan. What does great creative look like? Feels so subjective. What is great? Like, what's the difference between average and great? I want to talk about the Lunchables into Transformers too. I think that there's a lot of interested ears that would be upset if we didn't come back to that too. But how do you deconstruct a very bold statement such as we're the best at great creative, but creative being subjective and great being a spectrum? How do you think about that?
It's a great question, Tim, and not to kind of go around the question too much in terms of subjectiveness. I think it's two things that make really great creative, right? It gets someone to feel something, and that can mean a variety of different things for different brands, but it gets them to feel something that unlocks a part of the brain that recognizes that, feels emotion, and stores that information. And then it's also creative that's delivered in a way that the user can understand, where you can push product benefits, product messaging, image recognition, right? For a brand that's pushing a iced tea bottle these days, when you go into the iced tea section of a CVS, it's crazy in there. There's 40 different iced teas that I can look at. And so being able to help me understand, okay, that's a new fun flavor. This is a new brand. I might be a little more into my health kick than I was 5 years ago, but being able to not only feel and be excited by the flavors and the brand on the screen, but also helping to retain the information that's going to get you to purchase it so that it does drive that purchase at the point of sale. To us, I think that's really how we categorize great creative. It gets you to feel a certain way, and it gets you to remember certain things that will ultimately get you to take action on a brand. And when you do the first one really well, the second one's going to flow.
Okay. So what formats are we going from to? So I know we're going to digital out of home. What are we actually scaling up from? Is it display? You mentioned, I think, TV in there. What have traditionally been the focus areas for Big Happy?
Yeah, so really, Tim, we've focused in the mobile arena, and we've built incredible experiences for brands that can show off their products across publisher pages and across our over 5,000 publisher pages. We can have these Lunchables turning into Transformers, showing you where you can go see the movie. We've got incredible things that we do for our telecom partners, showing off their devices and deal offerings and so forth. And then the other core of our business is the immersive platform that we have to offer. Because of our specialty and experience in the computer graphics world, we're leaned on quite a bit for these really next level immersive experiences and ways that we can bring you into environments using computer graphics and 3D. So let me give you two really good examples. For Best Buy and their brand relaunch last year, they featured Hologram, which was brilliant copywriting there by our friends at Best Buy. And they wanted to show in real worlds how tailgates, how Hologram, their character, could help you get everything you need from Best Buy, because they wanted to break out a little bit just of the tech world. So in that case, we were able to create a expandable rich media experience. The user was highly targeted across a lot of different targeting segments and across our publishers. And when you clicked on the initial ad, you would be launched into this full expandable experience where you could look around, you had the sights and sounds and the sensory of being at a real tailgate, and you could see the sausage on the grill, the smoothies, for some cocktails perhaps that the Ninja blender was blending up over there. And it really gave you this feeling that nothing else can unlock, of being there in that moment and understanding how that brand connects with you. So a really incredible way to not only push the brand and the feeling of how this brand makes your tailgate come together, but also driving those really important things. Like, we also sell Ninjas and grills in addition to beautiful 75-inch TVs that are really awesome too. So that's one example. We've done some incredible things as well when you think of furniture brands, and being able to get folks feeling more comfortable with these large ticket items. So whether you're a furniture brand or a clothing retailer, we're able to build these stores for you, have you shop around on your own prerogative, not have to talk to salespeople, and really see what sort of jeans, couches you might want. And then we're able to measure it with measurement partners in the foot traffic space from a third party perspective to prove that not only when you do this for consumers and help them understand what couches and different types of furniture for a big purchase, you're getting them closer to that part of the purchase funnel. You're really using creative technology in a way that moves your business. And that's when it goes back to what I said before. We love to show that great creative drives the needle, and we never want to just do things without putting measurement on it. So we're always trying to push to our clients, hey, without Big Happy here, you're not driving that incremental value. But being able to create tailgates and real world shopping experiences all through a mobile rich media unit, and then be able to tell those brands how much incremental visitors and foot traffic and value it drove to their store is really the complete package and our full end-to-end ad platform from creative excellence, distribution across our partners, and measurement to help our brands understand what worked, and what we can do better next time.
That is definitely very cool. So my takeaway, shoppable experience powered by an ad. How cool. Using ads as a gateway to a shoppable experience that we can actually tie to an outcome. Gabby, I can now understand your excitement because scaled up onto huge, massive screens in the real world. I mean, it seems like a marketer's dream.
I think so. I mean, that's what really drew me here. When you think about it, like getting to build on top of the success that they've already had in mobile and the brand awareness that they had from a mobile perspective and all of the creativity that exists in-house, like everything is in-house, which is also pretty incredible. A lot of creative is typically like outsourced, or there's third parties, or you need a third party to help, like even with the animation, everything exists in-house. So it's seamless and it's very like we're brainstorming together and ideating to bring things to life. And of course, mobile is really hard to break through. And the fact that they've been able to do it there, when you're able to transfer that same level of skills to a much bigger canvas in the real physical world and contextually relevant environments, it was a no-brainer. It was absolutely a no-brainer. And seeing some of the mocks and some of the things that we put together for a bunch of the advertisers that we're already in conversations with, they're mind blown at the capabilities because 3D exists for sure, but it doesn't exist at scale and as seamless and as easy and as quick as what we're able to provide over here. And so that's been really exciting within my first 30 days, just to feel that excitement from CMOs and brand marketers who are seeing these visuals and are like, this is real. This is awesome. Why wouldn't we do this? Why wouldn't we want this to pop out of a screen or an urban panel? Like, it's a no-brainer. It's like the next level to stop the customer and to make that emotional connection in a really crowded, noisy, busy world. This is a very simple and elegant way to do it that's non-intrusive, but it's highly viewable. And of course, it's a one-to-many medium that's really brand safe.
It stands out to me that the thing you're doing for brands is the thing that brands are doing for their customers, which is showing them what's possible.
Totally.
Like, did you even know you could do this? Want to do it? Like, that doesn't seem like a wildly difficult pitch. Something that I would love to understand, Gabby, is how does the market, or how should the market interpret Big Happy? Are we a creative agency? Are we an ad tech partner? Are we a creative agency that uses our own ad tech? Like, what's the right way to think about Big Happy?
I mean, we're a one-stop shop to deploy all of your digital out of home and your mobile executions, but creative is at the forefront and dictating the strategy. So I think for most marketers and for those that like represent brands, all they're trying to do is get customers to understand their value prop, and they're trying really hard to emotionally connect with a customer. we have the capabilities to have that be like the starting point. Strategy follows after that, like the deployment, the screens, all of that. It's great, and we'll make sure that the strategy matches. But really, if you're not creating something that's going to land and resonate and speak to a customer in a meaningful way and breaking through, then everything else falls. And so on our side, we're that one-stop shop that knows how to do this all day, every day. It's our only focus area. And like our vision's really clear. I know you mentioned like it seems like a simple pitch. It's intentionally simple. Like creative is number one, strategy will be number two after the great creative is already like designed and executed. And everything is done in-house with a bunch of experts that are sitting on proprietary tech that understands the emotional reaction and the real world actions that are happening after the exposure. And I think for digital out of home, one of the biggest advancements in general, and I was at Vistar almost 5 years ago at this point, and measurement was absolutely a big piece of what we were doing over there. It's come such a long way, even since then. Every single part of the funnel can be measured. So digital out of home, I think, tends to be bucketed more in like that upper funnel awareness play, and it absolutely has a place. But I think what's been really interesting, at least in the last 5 years, is the mid to lower funnel has a major place for digital out of home. Like we can prove that foot traffic, we could prove the sales lift. There are measurement providers that are able to take all of that great data and to understand what actually happened post exposure. And then you combine it with mobile and that retargeting and that net that you're able to like cast with sequential messaging and showing big happy creative from digital out of home to mobile. That's the 1-2 punch. And so I would say that's going to be what I think is going to be the biggest breakthrough, is that customers expect more. They should, that rightfully so. And it's the responsibility of marketers and brands and us at Big Happy to prove that it's as important and we're giving the customers what they're looking for. It's everyone's responsibility. It's a crowded world out there. If you want to land and resonate, it's going to be through creative.
And we talked about that incremental value piece, right? Hey, my budget didn't go up. I need to get more from it. I've squeezed every ounce out of my targeting and my retargeting and my measurement and all that creative. Like, hey, we ignored creative for 2 decades. Let's go back to the well and do great stuff.
Exactly.
A question I want to break apart here and kind of approach from both sides of the coin is the importance or your perspective on inventory selection. There's a lot of screens. I'd love to think about it through the lens of from a publisher's perspective and then also from an advertiser's perspective. How do you approach a big, wide world of digital screens, Gabby?
So, I mean, on our side, because everything we're doing is 3 days out, we're looking for video-enabled screens. Like that's our first starting point. That's just because that's where our creative is going to come to life and that's where we focus. But I think all screens serve a purpose. I think it depends if you are laser focused on markets that either over index or under index and are battlegrounds for a certain brand that they're trying to break through. You would almost start with like the DMA first and then pick the screen selection next.
Mm-hmm.
I think contextually relevant screens are really important as well. There is a lot of focus on big, beautiful canvases that creative can absolutely pop. And we absolutely always find a place for that. But I think when you think about the screens that are in environments that over-index for certain audience profiles, those are going to be recommendations as well. If you're thinking about a brand for back to school and you want to land with a mom who's doing all of the shopping along her customer journey, you're not just going to go on an urban panel, which is so big and powerful. You're also going to think about complementing that urban panel with a screen in a grocery store, or a screen in a mall, or a screen near transit as they're commuting to and from work and being at the thought, like on the top of their mind as they're making some of those decisions or thinking about the to-do list. I know myself, I got a 10 and 13-year-old and I am every day making a to-do list of things that I need to do in addition to all of the work I have to do in life. And like, I would love more than anything to be served a little bit of a reminder or to be served some sort of meal inspiration to stay top of mind. And so it's really,
I don't know what to cook.
Yeah.
You can target me with as many recipes and ideas on what to cook. as possible. Like, I need more ideas on what to make for dinner. That's definitely, there's no shortage of those ads.
Absolutely. And you even think about like the day parting piece of it too. Like advertising has come such a long way, of course, on like the digital side, but digital out of home has kept up with it. You could do location, you could do time of day,
Sure.
you could pick the screens based on where the audiences are. And so I would say it's an art and science from a media planning perspective, but access to the screens is a gift. We're lucky we have access to all the DMAs, all the screens from a programmatic perspective. And so we're starting with creative first, screen selection, media owners, strategy second. And then everything we're going to do is going to apply measurement to it. So this way, whatever the KPI is, we're proving out brand awareness, brand recall, all the way down to foot traffic, all the way down to sales, depending on what the marketer's objective is.
Makes sense to me. Jonathan, a question for you related to screen selection. The phone in our hand is very different than screens in the real world. Why not choose something other than digital out of home? Everyone's doing like CTV and streaming. Why not do something other than digital out of home? It's hard.
It's hard, and that's what we love about it. I think it is the medium that we feel the most, so we can really add value and bring that creative pop and the things that we can do on mobile with making consumers feel a certain way. Imagine how we can make them feel when we serve that on a board that's just as big as you are, and really that canvas so it's unmissable down the streets. And for that reason, it's a no-brainer. We know that what we've built on the mobile platform, the natural evolvement is digital out of home to meet people on their screens and in the streets and really give that 1-2 punch from that angle. There's a lot of folks that are doing incredible things in other mediums and channels. We feel this is the biggest space for us to go deliver value for our brands and partners. And we want to walk into rooms and show people things that they can feel, that they can really see themselves bringing to life. We never want to talk over our brands' heads and be talking about algorithms and different sort of things, right? We want to show them the real things that we can do and move their brand, and then to help them understand how we execute on that. And so in this space, the distribution of the platform, as well as really the fact that it's so ripe for innovation and some real creative innovation in this space in a way that we can do it quickly and kind of mirror our mobile business has been so successful, is why we've chosen this. To make these ads as big as we can is super, super tempting to us. And we know that we'll be able to really deliver jaw-dropping experiences for consumers. And local is such a real level where people feel these ads too, right? So being able, as Gab was saying, in specific DMAs, reaching people at those bus stops, those urban panels, following them through that purchasing journey, it just brings that big, big ad feel to all of the big markets, but all of the local ones as well, where consumers are shopping and looking around and looking for the brands that are going to be in their neighborhood talking to them.
I think that's a lost point, is all of those secondary markets. There's so much opportunity. I sold in one for a long time. It was oddly placed in like Eastern Pennsylvania, made up 10% of the New York DMA, 10% of the Philly DMA, maybe 12% of Philly DMA. But it was just that. It was like this buried market that made up a huge portion of two major DMAs, but it was overlooked on every media plan.
Yep.
Tremendous value, a great network of digital out of home. So I appreciate the mission, and I think it's a noble goal, migrating obviously the captive demand that you have to very specifically curated supply. I think you're definitely approaching it the right way. I'm excited to see what comes next. Gabby, do you have some last thoughts there?
No, I mean, I think you nailed it on the head. I think there's so much opportunity, and like our goal is to also let the data dictate where we're going to run. I think it's easy to focus on the coasts because those are like some of the biggest markets. But on our side, a lot of what we're doing is looking at whether it's foot traffic data or purchase data via some third parties that we're partnering with. It's allowing us to almost say, okay, what are the top 20 markets for marathon runners? And then using that to guide,
cool.
Okay, we're going to then pick these 20 DMAs. This is where we're going to run our creative because this is where that audience profile over indexes. And it's letting the data guide after we've already nailed down what that creative strategy looks like.
So really, we're extracting value from the creative, but then we're also using data to find like misunderstood, undervalued pockets in the market to create more arbitrage. So it sounds like it's just an all-around better way to do it. It's not as tech heavy. It's holistically focused. It's maybe what Ogilvy would do in 2025. It sounds a little bit like if David Ogilvy himself were building a solution, this might be what it looks or sounds like. Jonathan,
tell us to not be boring.
Ahead.
So we're trying
What's
to
that?
do it, right? That's what Ogilvy would say, is to tell us to not be boring as marketers. And that's what I think we're trying to do it in the spaces that we can do it.
Well said. A perfect stopping point, a great exclamation to a wonderful conversation. If folks want to learn more about what Big Happy is up to, give them the Latin long. Where should they go?
www.bighappy.co for all your incredible ad needs, or come find Gabs or I or any of the other wonderful Happies, and we'll tell you how to do some amazing things out there. But this has been awesome, Tim, and thanks for having Gabs and I on a nice little Tuesday afternoon.
Absolutely. And I wanted to save this story to the end because otherwise I would have distracted in the conversation. So on my way, so I like to kind of drive around and clear the mechanism, right? Kind of like just, shift my mindset to get ready for a podcast. And obviously we had rescheduled from last week as a bit of fate would have it. Thank you also for the flexibility. It sounds like it worked out all around, but I wasn't able to plug in like my microphone and my headphones. Nothing was working. My mouse wasn't working. It was like podcaster's nightmare. First world problems. Okay. I'm not complaining, but driving around today just before coming to sit down and record this, and I pulled up to the stoplight. There's a big tanker truck, out filling pools. It was full of water, big water truck. And I have to send it to you. It'll become definitely the thumbnail in this episode. It was happy pool water.
See, I love signs. I'm a big believer in that.
Okay, here's the double sign. I got stuck. I didn't even get stuck. I was behind a car this morning on my way to get a coffee. And do you want to know what the license plate was?
HPYBIG.
It wasn't, but it's pretty close. SRNDPTY. Serendipity.
Love it.
So there it is. Take a big happy with you. There it is. It's a great way to sign off. Thank you both. We will we'll definitely have to do this again. I feel like this is the start of
quarter century. I finally came to my senses.
I don't know if I have the bandwidth, but maybe again before we close the calendar on 2026, it would be great to hear how things are going. I'm sure there's some case studies and some really cool stuff.
Mexico. Next stop, Shanghai, the world-class trade show. First class all the way, 'cause that's how we roll. Yeah, call us the rock star businessman. Rockin' shows, we handle business, man. We got our own future in the palm of our hands, 'cause divided we fall and together we stand. Old friends trip when they see the new whip. I said stay true to yourself as I polish it. Said they wanna be a star like a model chicks. Partying, stacking paper, talking politics. They be spinning the truth when they up in the suit, so we be spitting the truth.